Welcome back to Talking Neat. Today I've got with me the founding member from LA Calling, David Corral.
Thank you, Jason.
How's it going?
It's going great. Glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your show. Very excited to be here, actually.
I just opened the door, I heard a knock, and there you were. So how's everything been going?
It's going good. Just started playing out again. I was on hiatus for a few years, and just started, playing LA Calling out, and we're going to be going on tour shortly. And I dubbed it the Audio Vortex Tour to give people this high energy experience.
High energy?
High energy experience. Everything that LA Calling does is kind of rooted in fifth gear, even like when we're going slow. I think I try to capture adrenaline, or the idea of adrenaline, some kind of a action movie scene, and in every song and every chord. Even when it's going slow, it's really the state of mind is fifth gear. High octane is what I'm always thinking.
So are you like doing jumping jacks on stage, or?
It's physical, the performance. I'm doing like electro rock, electronic rock, but I have a lot of roots in, like hardcore punk. I went to a lot of gigs growing up in Long Beach at the Fender's Ballroom, saw, the power of like Corrosion of Conformity and Agnostic Front and MDC and all these like DRI, all these gnarly bands, and that explosiveness, the spirit of that explosiveness, I try to translate that and just bring it in the spirit of it into this synth pop, electro rock sound.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So you are aware this is a whiskey show.
I hear.
So we are going to dive right in.
I'm with it.
So cracking open a new bottle today. It is Buffalo Trace. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon. Buffalo Trace is one of the older distilleries in the United States, in Kentucky. Their property has changed hands many times, and it seems like a lot of the people who started distilling on the property before it was called Buffalo Trace, because it's only been called Buffalo Trace for maybe 20, 25 years. Before that, it was like OFC, before that Stag, and they've incorporated all those names, all those like famous distillers into their whiskey. And so it's got, like they have the Stag brand or line, and the OFC one, and so
there's history.
Kind of to keep the memory alive. So Buffalo Trace, about to crack it open.
Yeah.
See what you got to offer us.
And I like the label too. It's like kind of ripped, like kind of,
Now, Buffalo Trace was actually one of 6 distilleries in the United States during Prohibition that got licenses to stay open. By the time Prohibition was over, there were only 3 left. Because I mean, when they were allowed to sell medicinal bourbon.
Right. Been shot.
Well, it wasn't for that. It was more for if you had pneumonia.
Oh, okay.
There were medicinal qualities in bourbon, and what was it? There were a couple other ailments, not nagging wife syndrome or anything like that. But if you you'd go to a doctor, and I mean, it's just like medical marijuana.
Hangnail, doc.
They would give you a prescription, and you'd take it to your local pharmacist, and he'd give you a pint of bourbon for $3, and it had to last you a whole like month or a week or something, which is a pretty decent amount. It wasn't, you're not getting like the high-end bourbons you can get now. It was just like medicinal bourbon. They didn't have to put all this quality in it when there's only, you don't really have the choice. So these guys they supplied the United States for their medicinal needs during Prohibition. If you want more. to say it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Can I see the label? Took you straight right on. Yeah. Smells clean.
It smells kind of sweet. It's got like vanilla and spice.
I couldn't tell you that much, but I would say it tastes a little bit like Maker's Mark. A little bit like that, I would say.
And that's probably both the bourbons.
I
So
would say
it's-
that's about the best way I could describe it. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I do like it.
I like it. It's really good. It's maybe a little honey. Not getting any floral or not really much from a barrel. No oakiness.
All I can tell you, it's not sharp. It's not like,
Yeah, it's not.
that's the best way I could
It-
describe it, yeah. It's rounded like it.
Yeah, it's full bodied.
So if that means sweet, then I would say yeah.
Sweet is a little bit different, but
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's very.
Yeah, it's smoothed out, like,
Yeah.
you know, I've tasted some sharp ones and, you know, it's good.
So have you been doing a lot of touring since you're off hiatus?
No, we just started playing out. We
Just like
we've
this
done-
week type thing?
Like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
4 weeks ago, yeah. And I'm still, and I just got together with management company, with Creative Exchange, CX, and they're gonna take the helm from here. I booked a few shows, but they're gonna work out the tour for us together, but they're gonna manage the band moving forward
So where are you looking to go?
across the nation.
Okay.
Across the nation, yeah.
So you're not going to be like Weekend Warriors where you'll get out to
Probably
Santa
not.
Monica.
A combination though, probably I think that's always in the mix. Cause like in LA, right, if you play like Palm Springs, you're touring. It's not like the East Coast where you drive an hour, it's like a brand new state, right? You know, it like from here, like from LA to the Bay Area, right? On the East Coast, you would have passed how many states, right? And so here, like, just to get to like Palm Springs, it's like the length of like Rhode Island or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why a lot of bands, they get to California
Mhm.
and they'll play San Diego, Los
Mhm.
Angeles,
Right.
Anaheim. 'Cause
Right.
even though you think they're close,
They're
I mean,
not.
for people who live in LA,
Right.
that's like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
And then they'll go from there to maybe
Yeah.
like San Jose or Fresno, then San Francisco
Right.
and Oakland and
Totally. Yeah, like I consider LA like a small country. It's massive, like, and I know it pretty well, and I still haven't seen all of it. And I go everywhere, and I keep on finding like, and I was like, and they're like, even now they're like building this new city up on the ridge. I think it's called Tejano Ranch, up just next to Santa Clarita. Like this, they're gonna expand the city still. Anyways, or the county.
urban sprawl.
Mhm, yeah.
So, with your music and your live show, we got a little bit of a taste of it,
Mhm.
but obviously, we just got you.
Correct.
So who else is, or what else do you bring?
Mhm. Well, I do play with a live band. You know, when I created the live version of LA Calling, I wanted to create a cyborg, sort of like a half human, half machine experience on record and live. And then I was like, okay, and then I run all these like synth tracks and all these other like, to make it like, give people like this like sonic experience, like, and that's why I dubbed the tour Audio Vortex Tour, because I can give them the same sound at a pub as I could at a theater. It would be the same thing, And so I run these like tracks, but there's some fundamentals, I think, of rock and roll that just don't change. And I would say for me, it's a live drummer. I need a crack. I need to see broken sticks. I need to see the drummer with blood on his fingers and after the gig, and live electric guitar. Those. The rest of the stuff I run like synth bass, some real bass, different stuff, different keyboards, and just different tracks. But it's basically vocals, guitar, and drums, and really the essence of the rock and roll expression. Much respect to bass, but but for what I do, for what LA Calling does, that's the setup.
So you don't believe in bassists?
Love it. I've had it.
Is it just because they're so flaky, they never show up on time?
I just, I wanted to be, it was intentional. I used to have a bass player live, and then after a while I realized I could just run these tracks and make it sound more synth, because a live bass, it can't sound like a synth bass. It's live bass, and it's like a 808 kick drum. People like them because they sound like 808, not because they sound like live drums. And so, like Depeche Mode, they don't have a bassist, right? And it's like they have this drummer, right? And then or you'll see like even the Doors, they didn't have a bassist. They had the drummer, the keyboard player, and really Manzarek, he was really like the guy running the tracks, right? So it's this kind of almost like a similar format where I'm running the tracks, the sound that you couldn't get from a live bassist, especially when I'm arpeggiating the sound or syncopated. There's just sounds that I can't get from a live bassist and don't want to. That I want it. Wouldn't be electronic rock if I had everything was just live. That's just for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how much of what people hear at like a live show is like recorded versus actual live? So the bass is
good question. Well, it depends on how you look at it. Okay, like the drummer is expected to hit really hard, and that can be overbearing. So okay, and the guitar player is expected to bring the lightning, no doubt about it. You bring the Randy Rhoads, you bring the Dimebag, you bring the spirit of hard rock, right?
Dimebag's overrated.
Right, but all right, and then the vocals are live, right? And then so I would say there's more electronic tracks running, because we're only 3, right? And then there's 16, 20 tracks running, but they're kind of one and the same, like I try to, at the end of the day, like I say, half human, half machine is the sound. So the electronics, the guitar, the drums, and the vocal is like one sound, the organic side. And the electronic tracks are the other half. So it's like, like the Terminators, it's like half human, half machine, and I try to create the perfect marriage between those both sounds. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, I hope to reach a place, if you're watching us live, where both sounds will just blur and they just become one. And so that's my answer. That's the best way I could describe it. If you ask me like electronic tracks, there's a bunch of them. Is it louder at times? The drums are like the centerpiece. At times, the guitar is the centerpiece. At times, is the keyboard and those tracks are the centerpiece, or just the vocal. It's these many things working in union. Yeah, that's the best way I could describe it.
Okay. So now, with this new management company, are you looking to put out new material in the near future?
I have some stuff that it's been in the vault, right? Everybody talks about a vault, right? Like there's some lock on it, right? It's probably in here, right? In my drive. um, and I got some stuff that it's like it's just like 80% finished, you know. And so I was talking to Creative Exchange yesterday on the phone, and they were saying, "Hey, do you have more material? Because right now I only have about an hour's worth of live set." And they were just, "What else do you have? What else do you have?" And I didn't want to go back to those songs until there was a reason to go back to them. And talking to them yesterday, we're on the phone for probably about an hour, planning out what we want to do. And they're like, what else? I was like, okay, well, I guess it's time to go back to those songs. I put a lot of energy and a lot of time into them, and then they never quite crossed the finish line, lost the momentum, at the time. But they're kind of rearing their head. They're looking to kind of, hey, what's going on? They're looking to pop their head out of the box. So, I got another batch of songs that now I'm very excited to go back to. So, and it's gonna diversify my live set. Have more stuff to give to the people.
That way it's not all the same thing night after night.
Yeah, you get played out real fast. Yeah.
You get bored.
I don't get bored. Like me personally, with the song, I don't get bored. But I'm fully aware that I can easily bore other people. But the stuff, it's my thing. So I don't get bored. Yeah.
You don't think, like, if you had a big hit and the fans wanted you to play it every night, you don't think you'd get bored playing it?
Well,
like Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
After 2 years of playing that,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't play it for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
They were done.
Well, it's very possible. It's very possible. It's possible.
So, when did you have your last batch of material come out?
It's probably about 5 years ago, maybe now. We toured the Southwest, and I was gonna go out again, and things changed, and so I was like, well, I'll come back to it, but I think I spent too much time trying to work on it. Like I think I'm just better at recording now. I can kind of get to the point more. I'm always trying to shorthand it without compromising quality, right? And so your question was, when was my last batch? Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so about 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 5 years ago, and then.
Have you put anything
Oh,
down?
no, actually, no. I put a single out
One
about actually, I remember. I put out a single out about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that I recall, yeah, but it wasn't a batch, right?
So what have you been doing in the last 3 years?
Raising a family, I have 2 children, and it's been.
Put them on the back burner. Get in the studio and release some music.
And that's where we are now. Absolutely, yeah.
Were you writing a lot of material when you weren't, even though you weren't recording it?
Yeah. I have.
So you were still, the band wasn't like full on hiatus. You were still.
Well, no, I have session musicians that come and join me for live, and I try to find, musicians that fit, the LA Calling brand, what LA Calling's about. And so those are other musicians that have a new crew, a new team. I recruited a new team, but no, they went off and joined I think the drummer went off and he joined. They both went off to join some bigger bands and stuff at that time. They were, you know, they're free agents, right? And so.
They abandoned you.
No. I wasn't playing. I didn't have anything to offer them
Mhm.
at that time. They needed to be active, and hey, go get it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like you'll get something out this year, or?
This year, I hope. I hope, man. You know, and I'm not looking at like to overextend myself. I decided that probably won't record another record again. What I want to do is just be a singles artist, one song at a time, and give it everything and make that special to the best of my ability. And each single will be its own release. I just want to be a singles artist. That's what I've kind of decided that I wanted to do. And it's coming back to your question about writing the new stuff. Yeah, I have probably about 5 singles recorded in here.
Okay.
Or, you know, and then when I go into the studio, I know exactly what I want to do. Yeah.
That's cool. So our next whiskey, another bourbon from Kentucky. Because if it's not from Kentucky, it's not really bourbon.
That's what I hear.
Shouldn't be. So this is 1792. They make damn good bourbon.
Yeah?
This one will probably be a little bit harsher. It does have a bit more alcohol content in it.
It's more grizzled, right?
Yeah.
Right on.
But 1792, you can't go wrong with them.
Yeah.
It's weird, I'm smelling different stuff on it now.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like honey. Yeah, this one's a lot different.
This one's sharper.
Yeah. It's got more of a bite to it.
Yeah, like more fume, or like more kind of.
It's got a higher alcohol content.
Mhm.
It's got less on the spice, less on the vanilla. It's more like a little bit of honey.
Yeah. It's down.
Gotta love bourbon. Do you geek out on music?
I do, man. Like, I can listen to one song all day long, repeat, and go and repeat a part, you know, study it. If I hear something just really interesting, and it'll give me a certain feeling, and I don't want that feeling to go away. And I was like, how do you know? I just want to like go into the zone, if you will. That's like one of my favorite things to do, and that's why I'm always rooting for someone to come up with something new to inspire me as well. Like, you know, I can just like geek out on it in the car, you know, headphone it, just go into the sonic realm, you know.
What era of music is yours? 80s?
I would say 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know, all the same.
It's like Doors, Bowie,
Yeah.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, for rock music, yeah, absolutely. You know, I like, you know, I also like Casey and the Sunshine Band from the 70s.
Mhm.
Love them. I like ABBA. I think they're just sonic. I like,
Think they'll ever get back together and tour? I guess they had a member die, so not now.
no, they're, I mean, when you speak the word, like when you say sonic, you know, very few bands can really embody that. I think, you know, ABBA, maybe like Pink Floyd, you know, there's a handful of people, you know, whether you like their music or not. I'm just like talking like production. It's great. I like, you know, Steely Dan. I like, you know, T-Rex. Mark Bolan, stuff like that, and 80s, like the Cults. I like Depeche Mode and Simple Minds, and other, I like TSOL when they had Joe Wood singing. They put out that record Revenge. It was like this sort of like this gothic punk rock and roll sound, and then you could see, like, the word is that I used to hear this when I was hanging out on the Sunset Strip. I think that Steve Adler from Guns used to live with somebody from TSOL, and so if you see in the music video, the drummer, he's wearing a TSOL shirt from that record period, which is Revenge. And if you guys ever get a chance, it's great. It's almost like outlaw country glam punk rock and roll. It's bad, dude, with a kind of a Doors vocal over it, and then they did maybe 3 or 4 records with Joe Wood, and then they went back to the original singer. But my favorite is the era with Joe Wood. Yeah. And then 90s, I like Soundgarden, Chemical Brothers. I don't know if they're still, maybe late 90s. I think 99 maybe.
Now, Chemical Brothers, they did a lot of sampling and.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, I like what I like about the Chemical Brothers is they really understand funk. The numbers, there's like a formula for funk. The timing, they're not just randomly just shooting out beats. Very methodical. They really find that angle, really find the groove, and really get they dig their feet in and get under the groove. I think they're a very good band. And then 2000s, and I don't know, I like Muse, I like Arcade Fire, Ghostland Observatory from Austin.
I haven't heard of them.
Oh, they're fun, man. They're like a duo, like a dynamic duo. One guy's on the keyboards, and then the other guy's doing the vocal, and then one guy will get on drums, and then the other guy get on guitar and vocal.
Oh wow!
So they mix
in the
it up.
same song?
No, throughout the set, and like them, stuff like that, and then say the last 10 years, right? Maybe I like metal bands like Holy Grail. I think they're from Pasadena. I think the singer Luna, I think he's exceptional. Came across some band online. I think they're called Locust. I think they sound gnarly. And and then I don't know. I like that I don't know the last. I like that 9 Inch Nails record with Teeth. I don't know if that was probably the last 6-7 years or something. Are they a 2000 band? No. Millennial band? No. But it's a record I thought that was really relevant. And then Spirit from Depeche Mode. It just came out 2 years. I thought that record was groundbreaking for.
I didn't listen to it.
Yeah, it's great. It did almost a little bit industrial, industrial pop.
Did you go to their tour when they were out here?
No. I've seen them a bunch of times. I've seen them maybe 6 times or something.
Oh wow!
But I haven't seen them lately. But probably will. Yeah.
Very cool. So, with this new music, do you have? I guess when you mentioned you wanted to do everything as singles.
Yeah, one song at a time. Yeah.
Is that just how you feel about what you want to do, or is it because you don't really have this cohesive? Because over 5 years, you're going to be writing stuff from different time periods,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
not necessarily like when you go and write an album, it's all condensed into 1 year of your life.
Correct.
So is that part of the reason, or that you're looking at doing singles?
Good question. I don't. I try not to approach it. I approach it what L.A. Colling writes about is human nature. These universal traits of things that we do or feel, love, treason, emotion, you know, all. And so, you know, those are like timeless things, right? And so that's one. So I try not to write in what's going on or what I feel that year. I try to write is what I would feel my whole life. The same thing, you know, that I would feel when I'm 90 and when I'm 9, when I'm 90. I try to the same feeling, you know, like
So you don't change?
no,
Is what you're saying?
no, not that I don't change, but I some things are universal. You're always gonna love somebody at 9. You're gonna love somebody at 90. You're gonna have a falling out with someone at 9 years old in the sandlot, and you're gonna have a falling out with someone throughout your life. So those things don't change. They're just continuous. And then like the single, like I just see that's just how you do it these days. I really don't understand at this point what an album or a record, the purpose of it, considering how people listen to music now. Even though they're still out and they put them out and hey, but everybody's just kind of running through songs and media and video. So, you know, they might not, you know, run through the whole record or just pick a song or two and move on. So I'd rather just give them all my best in that track. And since their attention is less, I give them less. And then I can put out more. You know, it's like it's not over in one stream, you know. I can keep putting stuff out and stuff. So I just kind of decided that the need or what people want, what people like, from my vantage point, is they just want to get to the point, and I try to get to the point. So
That's cool. I know a lot of musicians are starting to go back to that single model.
That's how it started, right?
Yeah, that's
45s, right?
Yeah, I mean you couldn't get more music on it.
The long play
vinyl.
was like changed the game, right?
Yeah, well, and even then, no one was buying albums.
Right.
The full-length albums were just made for radio stations, for the AM stations.
Correct.
So they could have more than one song, basically.
Uh-huh.
And there were no record stores you could go to buy an album up until like the late 60s when Tower Records came out. And I mean, that was the first time you could actually go into a store
Fantastic.
and buy an actual album. And so that's
Zone
when,
out, right?
yeah, bands started going, wow, there's actually a market for this. And so they started putting out albums.
Yeah.
And
So I don't think much has changed in that respect, right?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's funny because all these record labels, oh, the single format's killing the industry. It's like, no, it's going back to
basics.
yeah,
I-
how it
you know,
used to be.
Yeah.
I think it could, if artists use it to their advantage, it'll be so much better because you release an album,
Uh-huh.
you get a publicist and your record label, they're gonna start doing all this PR for that album. 2 weeks after your album comes out, unless it starts charting, no one's talking about it anymore.
Right.
And your sales go like that, and they plateau, and you're basically done until your next album.
Correct.
But if you release a single and a video, and then a single and a video,
Speak on, Jason.
you have that publicity wheel keep turning, and you're gonna stay in the news. You're gonna stay fresh. It's not gonna be old music, and every time you go on tour, like what you said, you're gonna have more and more music to play. That way you're not going to look stale. I mean, I'm sure you did too. I mean, especially as a music geek, a band that you really like is playing in like LA and Anaheim. You're going to go to both shows. And it sucks when you see the exact same songs in a row. And it's like, you know what?
Keep it fresh.
Yeah, you know what? I paid $50 last night. I'm paying $50 tonight. Give me something a little different.
Mix and match.
I know all your songs, but I'd like to hear,
Right.
throw on some B-sides or something.
Huh.
Make it cool.
Huh. B-sides, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, that's dating me.
That's what was most interesting, I thought, like, to find this B-side that nobody cared about, and then, like, you love that song. You're like, hey, have you heard that song? No. Have you? No. Wow, I love this song. Well, I haven't heard that song. Check it out. Right? Yeah.
Isn't that how Guns N' Roses basically got started? Or not started, but finally got radio play?
I don't know.
I think they tried to get Paradise City to take off, and no record labels were playing it. It was too different. It was too heavy, too bluesy for everything, and it was 6 minutes long. So no radio stations were taking a chance on it. And one station in like, I think it might have been K-Rock, you know, or no, KNAC, KNAC.
Yeah, Long Beach.
Yeah, they flipped it over, and there was Welcome to the Jungle, 4.5 minutes. And they started playing it same time up in Washington. Someone was playing it, but I mean, the record label was already going to Guns N' Roses saying, "What do you guys have for your next album?" Because they basically Geffen wrote that album off already, and then it just picked up, and look at where they are now.
Yeah. And I like Chinese Democracy. I love that record, and I'm biased though because it's kind of there's like this electronic component to it. That song Better, fantastic, and Catcher in the Rye. So I think that record's great. I mean, I like it. I thought it was. I thought it was, it took a long time, obviously, for that record to come out and stuff. But, it came out in a sort of a really modern format. It was right there with it. Like with, even though it had some old school, like, style with some new school, like, technology. So, I liked it.
The only thing I didn't like about it was the guitars. They didn't have the hooks and the rhythm guitars, and I mean, that's
not
to me
not as interesting.
Yeah, to me that's what Guns N' Roses was.
The style.
Yeah, it didn't have that bluesy vibe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, more technical.
Yeah.
More technical sounding, but like the overall, like the songwriting, because that's Axl. I would say, he's just a great writer.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah.
So, what are your near-term and long-term plans for LA Calling?
I want to play out a lot. I want to play a lot. Play.
Do you see yourself, like, instead of having like all these hired guys, like actually turning it into a full-fledged band?
Can't rule it out, but probably not.
You're that hard to deal with?
I hope. It's just a lot of band meetings and this and that. And I love being a solo artist. There's a lot more responsibility, but I can just kind of, if I have an idea or I want to do something, I don't have to get on the phone and get a cosigner. Hey, are you with this? Are you with that? I can just go ahead and do it. To do certain things, there's more logistics involved, and I'm okay with it. If I were to find a team or that we're so on board with it, that we saw eye to eye with it, with not all of it, but really the core of what is LA Calling, the high energy sound, as I refer to it. It's possible, but at this time I don't see that happening.
So long-term plans?
I don't know. I can only tell you what's going on now. I just want to play live. I've only played LA Calling's only played LA once. It's always been out of town, and so gonna be playing LA soon, Duarte. I'm gonna be playing at Route 66 Roadhouse and Tavern in the city of Duarte, and it's gonna be like the second time that. I mean, I've played LA many, many times under different bands and different names, but as LA Calling, I've only played once. That was I played in Santa Monica at Club Trip. So I'm excited. April 13th, I hope to see you guys there. Route 66, Roadhouse, and Tavern. April 13th.
Sounds good. Any final words?
Just thank you for having me. I love this show. I love the format. We've talked about it on the phone. Not too many people doing it this way. It's got its own angle, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you. So be sure to check out LA Calling and catch them on one of their shows.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.